Hi, this is Gwen Fisher with Environmental and Occupational Health 6639, Occupational Health Psychology. We're partway through Module 3, in which we're discussing work motivation. And this is Module 3.4, in which I will be talking about goal setting theory. So, pretty brief agenda for this. We're going to talk about goal setting theory. Here's the learning objective for Module 3.4. By the end of this module, you should be able to understand and explain goal setting theory as a specific theory of work motivation. So, to provide some information, it's important to know that goal setting theory is absolutely one of the most studied, as well as the best empirically supported in industrial organizational psychology. There are few theories in our field which have been studied more or garnered more support than goal setting theory. In fact, according to Mitchell and Daniels in 2003, they said it's quite easily the single most dominant theory in the field. What goal setting theory refers to is focusing on goals and having people establish goals and then be interested in striving and motivated toward meeting those goals. There is a great deal of empirical evidence that suggests that the best type of goals are challenging yet realistic. Not so far-fetched that we're not going to be able to get there, but enough that we're going to be motivated and not so easy that it's not a big deal if we reach them. Additionally, they need to be specific goals. So what exactly are the best recommended types of goals? When it comes to goal setting, it's important to make sure that they are SMART goals. This acronym might simply help you remember the 5 key components that are effective for goal setting theory. To be exact, here we say that they should be specific. In other words, set specific goals, not vague ones that are unclear. They should be measurable so that we can figure out whether we've actually achieved them or not. They should be attainable or achievable. In other words, as I mentioned before, they should be challenging yet realistic. They should be relevant. In other words, it should be a goal that matters to you and also serves a purpose. And finally, it should be time-bound, meaning that there should be a specific time frame by which we want to achieve these goals. So let's think about each of these components one at a time. Often, either we have said or we've heard other people say, it's okay, just do your best. However, it turns out that this is some of the worst advice we can give somebody if we're interested in increasing their performance. Why do you think that might be? What's wrong with saying, okay, just do your best? Well, what we found from past research is that for many goals, this advice is simply too general to be really useful. In other words, if a goal is not measurable, how will you know if you've reached it? Research has also shown that if a goal is challenging, it's great for motivation, but it also needs to be achievable and relevant because an impossible goal is likely to lead us to give up, especially in the face of failure, whereas a challenging goal can push somebody beyond what they felt was possible. Finally, if we want this to be effective, goals should have a specific time frame so that we not only know what we're aiming for, but how long you have to get there. Think about Module 3.1, in which I presented a definition of motivation, and one of the aspects of that definition was the duration. So how long are we going to be sustaining this? So let's talk about a few specific examples of SMART goals. The first example here is about running. I will run a 9-minute mile by November 1st. Is this a SMART goal? Does it have the different components that we described earlier? Is it specific? Yes, I would say so. 9-minute mile clearly specifies the pace. Is it measurable? Yes, with a stopwatch and knowing the distance that somebody runs, we could certainly measure this. Is it attainable? Well, that's up to individual differences and somebody's fitness and training and so forth. For some people, this might be a really easy goal. And for others, maybe me at this moment, maybe not so attainable. Is it relevant? Well, we'll come back to that. I'll tell you my theory about runners. And finally, is it time-bound? Definitely. November 1st is a very specific date by which we're setting this goal for getting achieved. So what is my theory about runners? My theory is that there are 3 types of people, and they generally fall into the category of runners and non-runners. Runners are people who enjoy the sport or act of running or can at least tolerate it enough to do it. For example, they see somebody else running and may occasionally feel envious, or at the least can relate and maybe be happy for somebody who's out there doing it. Non-runners can be a non-runner for one of 2 reasons. First, unfortunately, for any reason, they just may not be able to run regardless of whether they want to or not, and totally understand it, and that's okay. The other type of non-runner is somebody that doesn't have the desire to run, might even be rolling their eyes even thinking about this example. Running is definitely not their thing, and the last thing they might be is envious of somebody who's out there running, and again, totally understand it. The second example on this page is more of an academic one that I will write and submit a 5-page paper by next Friday at 5. Again, is it specific? It could probably be a little bit more specific, maybe in terms of the topic, or a little bit more about the formatting, the font. When it says a 5-page paper, is that double-spaced or single-spaced? There are ways in which we can make this a little bit more specific, but it has some elements of specificity. Is it measurable? 5 pages. Is it attainable? Again, that's subject to interpretation. Is it relevant? Well, if it's something that you need to do for a class, I would say so. And is it time-bound? Next Friday at 5 p.m.? Check. Another important aspect of goal-setting theory is goal commitment. Goal commitment is the degree to which an individual is determined to reach their goal. This is an important part of goal-setting theory since its origin or early development, because our understanding is that if there's no goal commitment present, then there's no real power of the goal to motivate us. Despite the potential importance, goal commitment has been largely understudied for decades. However, studies on goal setting and goal commitment have shown that the highest performance results from both high goal commitment and high difficulty goals. Other factors that have been examined in research have been shown that have a positive relationship with goal commitment. Those include expectancy, goal attractiveness, and motivational force. So goal attractiveness, for example, is just how desirable or how much do we like that goal. This relates to a bit of what we talk about with process-based theories when we talk about, for example, expectancy theory and the valence of the particular issue or goal that we're talking about. So both employees and managers should consider the aspects of SMART goals as well as goal commitment as a way to help important outcomes at work. Practically speaking, what do we do about all of this information about goal setting? How can we put this into practice and really try and make a difference and improve work? First of all, if we assign or if a manager assigns a challenging goal to an employee, but doesn't allow for or encourage employee participation or input about what that goal is or any of the other aspects that make it a SMART goal in terms of whether it's specific, whether it's attainable, or perhaps the time frame, then it's not likely to be accepted by the employee. This could affect goal commitment, and as I just indicated, goal commitment is really important. So what should happen in the workplace? First, know that setting goals with employees as part of the performance review process is likely to be beneficial, and I encourage you to make sure that you're using SMART goals. Secondly, managers should give feedback about goal progress and remove obstacles in the work environment to help employees achieve goals and to be motivated. That concludes this segment of our work motivation module. The next topic that we will discuss is in Module 3.5, Job Characteristics Theory. Thank you.